We
Can you
are
hear me?
silent no more. There's Mark Dad Rock Hansen and JR Death the False Metal Tarina, mentally challenged.
Oh, Dad Rock.
Dad
Does that
Rock?
does that really apply to me or
Oh,
us?
I don't know. I've heard you call stuff Dad Rock before, but I told you earlier this week I wanted to talk about that and see, kind of like analyze how things have come. You know what, though? I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I was going to say how things have come this far with like the new generation of kids who listen to music.
Uh-huh.
But metal kids don't do this. It's just other dumbass kids who like what's popular, which has never really changed. So like
Yeah.
kids at my work who listen to like rap and hip hop and whatever, like Billie Eilish and whatever the latest fad is, or the next Billie Eilish clone or clone of whoever Billie Eilish is a clone of and all that. Like they always make fun of metal and call it dad rock because to them they're young girls who want to hear the coolest, hippest thing that's popular at the mall or the makeup store or on TikTok. Would you
Yeah.
agree, or am I up in the night?
Can you blame them?
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. 'Cause that's awesome. No, I just think it's weird since you and I don't have children that we can even, I mean, can we even discuss Dad Rock?
Well, I work with enough young kids and like deal with them on a regular basis that, I kind of see that. Don't you? I guess you probably don't run into them as much as I do.
Not where I work. Um, I mean, actually, I do like, so the people I work with are either my age and just small town, you know. Um, but I also work with like it's just weird. There's this girl in my she's like in my training class, right? She's like 22 years old, but has lived like way more life than probably even I have. She's got like three kids. She used to be a drug dealer, she's
What?
kind of turned herself around, but I'm like, holy crap, all that before you're 22. But it's almost like another species, someone that young. Even though like she's gone through all this hard stuff, she's still like this such a wide-eyed, innocent thing, and it's really odd. You feel a little protective of them.
Okay, and so what? She thinks that you're old school and you like stupid music, or what?
We never really talked music.
Well, why'd you bring her up?
Honestly, I showed her Super So Far. She said her mom would like it. So there you go. Mom
Well,
was
that
really
that's my whole point is like what's happened to rock? Is it just because it's not in the public eye? Do you think if these kids these days heard something like that, they would like it? Because I play, I don't know, I guess maybe to them it sounds old because like when you hear 50s music or even 60s music, what do you think? You think, oh God, that was my dad's music, man, like Fats Domino and all that, Chuck Berry.
No, I don't think that.
But I still like that stuff.
In a weird way, like I think a lot of times it's kind of cool because I think young kids, I don't think they even really it's hard to tell when what era music belongs to now. You know what I mean? So like, if you're just
So we've
consuming
reached the point where nothing's new.
almost, right? It feels
What?
like kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but here's the other thing too is well that point I made about 50s music and 60s music,
Hmm.
that you can't do that anymore because if you think about it, even classic rock kind of disappeared in the 70s and kind of turned into more glammy or more synthetic in the 80s. But look at
Just
death metal. Death metal has been a constant, as has black metal or just heavy metal for quite a few decades now, like going on 50 years. So what
well,
about that? That's complete juxtaposition of all the other stuff.
metal is the one genre that yeah,
But yet people refer to metal as dad rock too, and that's totally not the case. Like Obituary, Napalm Death. I mean, no, come on.
well, no, I mean it's been around long enough to have dad rock like elements. So what I was going to say about metal, it's the one genre that, and I'd probably say the only other genre that does this is probably jazz and classical, where that new artist can move it forward, with technology and even, change the sound of it. But at the same time, it can stay, in its own classic sense. Does that make sense? Like there's bands that are playing like high tech, technical death metal, right? And then, and they're a new band, coming out in 2023. And then next to them will be a new band that formed in 2023 playing old school brutal death metal.
Because a lot of people go back to what was old and they like that. That's the thing. But that's my point I always make about rap and hip hop is like, what's the fucking point of this? It's the same shit over and over and over.
Well,
And
that's
in
what
fact, rap, what people call rap now, has lessened from Eazy-E and NWA and all of that to just like some guy in his bedroom singing through his cell phone with no real band. I mean, that's not rap
Well, that's what I
to
mean.
me.
Like metal doesn't leave its origins behind. It, anytime it's moving forward, it takes all of it with them. With it. That's why it's like you can, there's even like those new wave of like almost like proto metal bands, like can't even think. Well, like Visigoth, something like that. They sound like they could have come out in '82.
But that's also, you got to consider Jake, the singer, is very much into all
Mhm.
all metal, especially the older stuff.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, like, and like when I first met Jake, he was like, God, I don't even think he was 21. I think he was like 18 or something like that, or six. He was a teenager, but he was so schooled in like underground old school metal. And I was like, how do you, I think I remember asking him, like, how did you even, like, where did you stumble on this? But I guess that, is one of those things where I think it was the internet that sort of helped him along his way.
I don't know. It could have been
But that's what I'm saying about
everything.
so like a band like Visigoth can go play Wacken with, I don't know, name some like modern metal band like Ginger or something like that, and it's all embraced. You just don't see that with any other genre, with the exception of like jazz or something like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are you crunching on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You've been crinkling stuff and crunching stuff for a minute there. What are you doing?
It's just actually taking something for pain.
Pain?
Pain.
Peter's other band outside of Hypocrisy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got this kind of like bursitis. Speaking of, this will be the old man episode. I got like, this, you might even have that too from just what repetitive movements, just where you just kind of have constant pain in your shoulder or something. That ebbs and flows, and it's just become your baseline. Your baseline is pain.
No. I got a
Wow.
somewhat of a small head cold right now, thanks to people at work that are close talkers, but
Yeah. It's weird, like where I
drives me
work,
crazy.
like everywhere, like I work and there's a flu just, and COVID is ripping through my work, but I haven't gotten nothing. So
I
one thing
think you've shriveled your innards with all the smoking and other things that you do that you're never going to catch anything.
yeah, there's so much like chemicals and stuff like that
You
just
have a
going.
shield of pestilence around your inner body that other things just can't penetrate. So
This thing like Survive or
that's
Extremify.
actually partially true. That's actually partially true because if you smoke and do other stuff like that, like if you drink or you smoke a lot, it kind of coats your lungs and kind of coats your mouth, and like you have like artificial toxins and stuff there. So it's a lot harder for people who smoke to get stuff like that, I would think, because I don't smoke and all that. So my tonsils, like especially right now in allergy season, especially Utah allergy season, where it's cold, then it gets hot, and all the plants bloom and spurt their shit in the air. Then it gets cold, then it gets hot, and all the plants bloom and spurt their shit in the air. So I constantly am going through like my sinuses just ripped apart, and then someone comes up and gets right in my face. I'm sick. Guess what? And I'm like, I got it. I got it right in my tonsils. I'm like, great. So I woke up today all dry and crusty, and just my head felt like it was shrinking. I'm like, oh yeah. And I
Hey,
never get sick. I rarely ever get sick, but when people get right in your fucking face and breathe all over you.
who's doing that?
Well, when you work at, I usually register now at work because I train other people how to cut the meat. So I talk to the public, and sometimes you got people who like breathe right in your face because they don't kind of get it, like how to, turn your head or not exhale right in people's faces. You got people chewing gum. You can taste their minty saliva breath coming out of their mouth, like right in your face. And but you have coworkers. I have a few coworkers who are like they have to get up really close and corner me when I'm like, say, the expediter corner. They're like right in my. I'm like, okay, back up a little bit, and I keep sidling away. They keep sidling closer, and they're like talking and making a point about whatever. And it's just like, okay, personal space.
Well,
And we've
I mean,
had COVID going through there too. Like one or two people have had it, not very many, but
yeah. Well, I mean, well,
it's kind of
and
dumb.
but I still don't get sick, and I'm like literally assisting people, in the showers and in the bathrooms and
Oh, you've always done that though, with all your groupies from your bands, right?
but this time I'm getting paid for it, not paying for it.
Oh man. Well, you mean you didn't make any money all those years that you were a rock star?
No, no money in music, you know that record label owner.
Yeah, I know that. I was being completely and totally sarcastic. So I got to ask you that. Speaking of that, am I wrong? Because I've been listening to all of our old shows, and especially the one I'm editing right now. I'm bitching about the label because it doesn't make me any money. And it doesn't make the bands any money.
Uh-huh.
Am I fucking wrong? Like, why do bands keep coming out? Why do labels keep coming out? And I get earache and labels like that are established and have been doing it since it was a lucrative thing.
Why are new
And
labels coming out?
well, I'm not necessarily new, but I'm not like this big label. But I have bands that fucking rule, and you know that. You know I'm not just saying that.
Oh
But
yeah.
no one really buys shit. Is it just the medium? Is it because I'm not on iTunes, or would I really be making that much more if I did? Because I'm
I
on most platforms through Plastic Head UK, and I'm not seeing shit. In
honestly
fact, I've seen less.
I think we need to maybe like next time I'm in town maybe, or we could do like a Zoom or something like that. I think you need to somehow up your social media game, and it
Well, you might be right there because mostly what I post on is Facebook, but I have Plastic Head doing all the other stuff for me, like Spotify and
yeah,
Pandora,
that's
but it's
fine.
not making money. I
Well,
know
no,
people are listening to my shit on Spotify. I've told you that. I get reports and I get a lot of hits for all the bands, a lot every month. Not one fucking sale. Maybe one or two CDs every now and then, like every 2 months or something. It's pathetic.
listen, what I mean by social media. So yeah, that uh what did you say, Plastic Head?
Yeah. Well,
So
through
so
them, they're putting everything on most of the
on the platforms.
yeah.
Fine. But they're not promoting it. They're not pushing, driving people to the website to buy merch and to buy physical copies. They might be helping, the algorithm, recommending a band that comes up or, whatever comes up on the playlist. But to start driving people to actually go to your merchandise, your your Bandcamp page, right? Where you can order, vinyl or t-shirts or whatever. So that it's not driving anything. So that's where like the act of like kind of more social media has to.
Okay, I get that. And that's the thing is like that's all going to cost money and I just don't have it to do that right now also. But are you
Uh,
telling me that all these small labels like Gutted Fetus Records or whatever the fuck, they're all doing that? Because
yeah.
they're not.
Well, I don't know about Goated Fetus, but I know band. There's kind of like these. Maybe you'd call them almost like mid-tier labels, like New Standard Elite, Artisan Era. What's the other one? Willow Tip, maybe.
Well, those are
Um,
also they've been around for a while too. Like those have
Nuclear, but
and
even
Willow
like
Tip, all those ones are like subsidiaries now of like bigger labels.
or to say like something smaller. Metallic Blue. They have, they're constantly updating their YouTube channel. There probably needs to be a Slaughterhouse Records YouTube channel, that has your band on it, your bands on it.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel,
Okay.
but that's the thing is like, where do you post that? Facebook. Okay, what else? I don't
It's,
really do Instagram, but I mean, is that really the be all end all of like promoting your bands is fucking Instagram? I just don't see it.
there's, I mean, it's everything, but
Hashtag metal, and then what? You click on that, and you get King Diamond, King's X,
mm,
Metallica, Judas Priest, Jag Panzer, Napalm Death. Like, what the fuck? Hashtag metal. Okay.
well,
Am I
dude,
wrong?
it's more nuanced than that, and it's really about. Well, that's why I'm saying, like, dude, maybe. I mean, I think it'd be fun to try to figure that out. Like, rather than having you pay for like a social media manager, I'd be willing to like try to come up with some sort of approach. Does that make sense? To start driving like, just driving people to, and you'd want to kind of drive them to the best, because I know you have a website, but I would actually probably try to drive people to your Bandcamp page.
I will say that, well, I don't know about that. I was going to say I do get a lot of sales from Bandcamp. It seems like more often than not, I don't do very much digital sales on Bandcamp, but I get hard copy sales from there.
Hmm.
And I do get once in a while ones from my basic website too. Like a lot of it's like kind of even sometimes, but
But wouldn't you like? I
it's
mean,
incredible how many people actually don't get digital on Bandcamp. They get hard copies of stuff there.
dude, that's where I've been ordering. That's where I think that might have been where I got your vinyl. I was on your Bandcamp page.
Did you? I don't remember.
I think
Which
so.
one? Not the new one, because I don't even have that up there. The Stygian Dark.
What did I order?
Or did you get Blast Machine? I can't remember.
Got Blast Machine.
Oh, well, I don't remember now. It was many moons ago.
Yeah, and I also like pre-ordered the Cynic remaster of Focus, or remix actually. It's a full remix
You what?
from. I ordered the Cynic Focus reissue from
From
not
who?
your, but from Bandcamp. Like I was on Bandcamp
Oh,
ordering.
I was gonna say I don't have that.
Yeah,
I hope you didn't order that for me, because I don't have
that'd
it.
be.
But if I did,
No, but I'm just saying, like, you know,
I would send it to you in a little red velvet pillow inside of a box.
as like I said, it is kind of like, almost distasteful as it might be. It really is about having like just more active social media presence.
Well, I don't
Uh,
have anything against that, but I'm just thinking like, what else is there? It's like that's I do Facebook my own. I don't really fuck with Instagram. I don't
mm,
fuck with Twitter because all Twitter is people arguing, and like now it's not even Twitter anymore. And what
mm.
else is there? It's like I'm not gonna do TikTok and all that bullshit. I don't have time to do all that. But is it really gonna be worth it? That's the thing. It's
You should do TikTok, dude. Just you doing like, because TikTok is like, it's like what, post like something that's like 20 seconds. You just maybe you cast in some kind of spell or whatever, burning a church, drive traffic.
yeah, I
Um,
don't know. I don't see that happening. That's my problem, or is that my problem? Because I just don't see that some kid on TikTok. Who's on TikTok? The only people I know that are on it are young kids, like the ones who make fun of our music. So maybe they might go, "Oh, that's cool." But I mean, is it going to be enough to do like sales, like and start paying bands cash?
I, don't-
No.
I mean,
So,
it could. I mean, like I said, we'd have to like sit and think about it. Maybe come up with like a, almost like a routine. Where you post at a certain frequency. And on certain topics.
and then
Just
part of this too is also it's like how far do you want to take your label? Because I've always said if you have a label, you can't just part time it and just do a hobby. But at the same time, you can if that's all you really want to do. And really, to be honest with you, it's like I've never had any aspirations of sending bands on tour and paying to finance their studio time and paying for their art and all that. And some of that's okay, like paying an artist and everything, but it's kind of gotten out of hand where it's like, oh, well, I just released your CD. Okay, cool. Where's the vinyl? Like, fuck you. Like, where is it? You tell me. You have the money? Let's do it. Like, I don't have it. So it's
Well,
just
no,
kind of turned me off. Like, actually, it's just bands don't even care. Like, you release a CD and they're like, okay, cool. Where's the vinyl? And then you do a vinyl and they're like, okay, cool. When can we do the next one? And I've noticed a lot of bands have this attitude too. It's like they're in this race to just shed out as much product as they can and just to have it out, especially vinyl because it's cool, quote unquote. And then they don't care. They just set it to the side and go on to the next one. It's like, oh, our next record's coming out on this label. And that's the other thing too, that's turning me off about having a label is a lot of bands are just in this race to put out all this stuff no matter what, just so much. And it's not even, it's like quantity, not quality. And you have so many band members who are in other bands and they have project bands just exponentially multiplying. It's like, okay, well, this sounds like all the other ones and I don't really want to hear it and I don't want to put it out. So shit like that. I mean, it's just putting the bad taste in my mouth. And now you've got everybody who's in this race to re-release old stuff. And that was going on when I had the Abyss. Like early on, everybody was re-releasing old thrash records. Now everybody here is doing it. Like there's some labels like putting out all the old Salt Lake bands. I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing Insane Aside, Baphomet, and Slaughter Christ. You motherfuckers just back right up because you don't touch those. You can have anything else you want. Those are mine. That's the only reason I even started my label again. So. But it just seems like everybody's in a race. And it's all about internet clout to have this many releases out, this kind of vinyl out, this color vinyl out, or this band's on this label now, or I re-released this from 20 years ago. It doesn't seem like anyone really cares about the music. That's my take on it. What do you think?
I'd say that's a pretty boomer take.
Boomer? What does that mean?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing. Like, fucking talk to me like, what is that? What does that mean? I don't know what the fuck that means.
It's like that's like an old curmudgeon.
Why is that? But that's what it is.
I don't know. I mean, it's a perspective, but it's not my perspective. I think people still
Well,
care
that's
about
what I see. It just seems like bands are interested to put out as much stuff as they can, no matter who will do it. And then you think about it, it's like any band could do that on their own. It's like all I'm doing is paying to release it. Why do I have to be involved anymore? It's like I'm not getting anything out of it, and I'm not paying you. I'm giving you more copies of the CD to sell. That's the way it works these days. There are no royalties anymore. That doesn't happen unless you're a bigger label that's been around. That's just how I see it.
I could see
Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's going to change. I hope it changes, but I don't see it.
All I know is if I was in a band and I was hearing this from my label owner, I'd be like, "Oh shit."
Well, I do what I can to promote the bands I have, but I mean, how far do you go? I'm one guy. I'm not going to pay for them to go to Wacken and all this other shit. That's what I'm saying. It's like my goal was to find a cool band I like, put out their album, call it good. I mean, that's what a lot of the small labels do, but I somehow get these bands because because I go a little bit further or do a little extra for them, they start to push me to do this. Can we get that? Can we get this? Can we do that? When can we do this? Can I get vinyl? Can we get patches, stickers, buttons, t-shirts?
Oh, bands are like children.
Well, I know there's a certain modicum of stuff you have to do as a label, but at the same time, like I said, if you're a small label, I mean, remember a long time ago we talked about the guy from Pyrexia because he was bitching about this small label that put out their first album way back when in the 90s. And even this black metal zine that was interviewing him, they were pretty sarcastic all the time too. They were like, dude, don't you think you're being a little bit expecting a little too much from this small label? And the guy was like, fuck them, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, and they didn't give us any money. And it's like, God damn. Like, what do you guys think? And that's what bands think. That's my point. Is that's where bands are. They still think that this is like the 90s or the 80s where they're going to make all this money and go on tour and reap all these royalties. It just doesn't work like that anymore. Or am I wrong?
I don't think
are there royalties? Because I don't see it.
I don't think a band like Pyrexia.
Well, no, but I'm saying like a lot of these bands think that, especially the Asian ones, like what I deal with, Asian, because they're a little bit newer, exposed to it. And they're under the impression that they're going to be huge and go on tour and do all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that's ever been the case for anybody, unless you were around in the early 80s or early 90s, late 80s,
Mm.
And I'm reading David Vincent's book now, and I'm kind of surprised to learn how much money they were given by the label to record and how much money they made. I was like, holy shit. I wouldn't have thought they would have done that well. That's kind of surprising, but that was back then in 1989, 90, around
Yeah.
there when death metal was huge. So that's what I'm
Oh,
saying. It's like, and back to our original point, like everything's been done. There's nothing new coming out. It's just the same shit by other people.
yeah. Well, speaking of Pyrexia, have you ever seen an interview with Chris Bazile, the guitar player? He's so funny, dude. He's the most New York
Yeah,
dude.
you told me about that. They were arguing with one of the guys from Deeds of Flesh or something, or just talking shit to each other. Or...
Oh, he was talking to yeah, he was talking shit with the Guy Marché from Suffocation.
Yeah.
They were like best friends. But it was just really entertaining. That's all. Check out Pyrexia, whoever's listening. They're a good, groovy, brutal death band. They just put out
Well,
some new stuff.
well, anyway, like I was saying, what do you think about my point that I made there? I mean, do you think I'm wrong? Like, because it sounds like there's nothing. Morbid Angel, I could see, and Deicide and all those bands, I could see them making a lot of money back then because death metal was fresh and new and it was this thing no one had ever heard. Now it's like,
Mm.
what is it, like almost 50 years later? It's been done to death. Like, okay, what? Like, how much
Well,
money you got made?
I mean, it's still good. I think. I mean, but I don't know. Dude, there's a lot of factors involved. And one of them is the fact that the internet has made it so that fairly, technology has gotten to the point where you don't need a budget necessarily to record a full album. You need a decent computer and a couple microphones, and you're
Well, that's
almost.
what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like you could do the same thing if you're in a band. All you have to do is upload your tracks online and you sell them on Bandcamp. Like, why do you need a label? Or you can, and CD pressing is getting harder and harder. Like, I had to really look for someone to press a CD when the local place here in town closed. I was left with no options. I had to use CD, one of those CD.com or CD, whatever they call
Baby or something.
themselves. And I didn't use them because I'm like, well, fuck, this is stupid. It's all like, you can't talk to anybody. It's just all online. I want to talk to somebody and find out what my options are. You can't. It's just like, order this, you get this. Order this, you get this. And you can't, you have to upload your art. Like, well, what the specs look like? Do I get masters? Can I look at them? Nope. You just send it up and here's what you get. And then the places that are still around that do CDs, like in the country here, are
Mhm.
all still like pricing like it's 1991. I'm like, guys, the CD, I hate to say it, but CDs have diminished. You can still charge people like $1,800 for 1,000 copies. This is insane. Like, this is 90s pricing. It's over. You should be charging me 500 for 500 copies or something like that, or 800 for 1,000 or something. It's absurd. They're still pricing CDs like it's the hot new medium. That's not. Like, it costs less to do, almost the same to do vinyl now as CDs are still priced.
Really?
So yeah, I mean, I was looking for a CD for this other band I've had on the waiting block, and I just can't find anyone to press it, or at least someone I trust is going to be quality or that isn't ridiculously expensive. Like, there's one or two places left here in town. They're all like, they want, like, for even CDRs, which is kind of the norm now, is they're wanting like almost regular CD, like replication pricing for something they're duplicating. In other words, burning. So duplicating is burning, and they're still charging you full price for what you would get for replicating, making real CDs. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, if I'm going to do that, I'll sit here and burn like a couple hundred copies for like a month or two. I'm not paying you to do that. That's absurd. So that's what I mean. It's become harder and harder. And then you have to ship stuff through the post office. They gouge you there at the post office. It's almost like somebody who hates metal is like in charge of the music industry and like the post office right now.
Well, it's every industry, though.
I don't know, maybe, but I'm just music in general. Like, I just put out Stygian Dark, that record. It sold really well because the singer from Benediction is on it.
Mhm.
And it's he's from Europe, so of course a large part of the people who bought it are in Europe. So I lost money basically shipping that out because it costs automatically 15 bucks or more just to send anything, no matter what it is, out of the country. And then depending on where it goes, it's even more. If it weighs a lot, if it's oblong packaging, then they charge you more. So I can't charge people $30 for a 7-inch record with 2 songs plus shipping. It's just not going to happen.
Could you license?
Well,
Like if
that's
you
what I initially contacted Plastic Head to do, is to get my CDs over there. I'd either send them to them or they can manufacture them there. And they said, we're going to do the digital route first. And that's all they've done. It's been over 10 years almost now. Or maybe not 10 years, but it's been a while. And that's it. No hard copies, no nothing.
Do you have a contract with Plastic Head?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's expired. I just kind of gave up on it. I should really check into that. But I mean, it's
If there's
it
an
hasn't yielded much. I mean, like I said, I get a lot of people who give me hits on Spotify. Like everybody's listening to my music, but they're doing it on Spotify for free. Nobody's bought shit. And like what little sales I've had, like from CDs and stuff every now and then in the mail, that's diminished since doing that, because they can hear it all for free on their phone anytime they want. That's what I'm saying. It's like, what do you do? Like, you remember I bought Carcass Surgical Steel, the record, and in there it said, thanks to anyone who actually bought this. I'm like, okay, Carcass, really? They're saying this?
Yeah.
And they're on Nuclear Blast. So I'm like, what the fuck? It's a very grim time, and not grim in a good black metal way. So
Yeah, I don't know, man.
but Cardi B doesn't make real music at all, and that fucking bitch is making all kinds of money. People are buying her bullshit, so, or at least here in America, anyway.
Yeah.
What does the B stand for? Bullshit?
I don't know.
That's what it is.
I think it stands for, I don't know. I don't think enough about it.
Oh, I don't either. That's what it stands for. So anyway,
I don't know. Maybe if
but do you think that the whole dad rock, quote unquote, phenomenon with young kids, like calling it that, have like kind of pigeonholed it the way that other people, maybe our even generation, did, calling 80s metal and stuff glam rock? So by doing that, you kind of personified it as one thing, when in fact, a lot of those bands weren't just glam rock, or if they were, they had the talent to play, but they got pigeonholed into being a visual band instead of actually being able to play.
Well, I mean, all I can tell you is that it doesn't change my outlook on the music. You know, whether somebody calls something glam rock or glam metal or dad rock is like, I don't.
Well, it doesn't affect us because we know the music. I'm talking about your average person out there who might be watching whatever equivalent to MTV there is now, or whatever the fuck they're listening to. And, they say coming up next is a band called the Glam Kings, like whatever. And then like, oh, well, I don't want to hear that. It's just going to be some like sound like Europe or Whitesnake. But what if it's not? What if they're like Iron Maiden? Like, I don't know.
So, like, take for example, like, you remember when we went to Carcass and Amon Amarth?
Yeah, I remember.
We saw like 2, probably sometimes 3 generations of fans there.
Yeah.
So whether or not they call it dad rock or not, I think kids are getting into it. I think the kids like it. My nephew's like into jazz. It doesn't get more, kind of old school than, bebop. But he's a jazz piano player now, so.
Wasn't your dad also that?
Yeah, my dad was, but like I mean, I love jazz now, but back then it was just like I wanted metal. That was, I guess, my rebellion. But I came back full circle. And I mean, I never not liked jazz. But I leaned towards metal. I think. I don't know why. I don't think it was actually even out of rebellion, just like the music. But yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing more and more where the kids and the parents pretty much, at least as far as rock and roll is concerned, listen to the same thing,
It's possible. I mean, you have a good point there. That metal has gone on so long, like I said, that now it's people who like it that are our age or older are like bringing their kids, and they're not treating it like it's this horrible thing like our parents did.
Well, because metal fans are metal fans for life. So if their kids are into metal, maybe someone who's into like 80s metal, like bands like Judas Priest, except maybe their kids are going to be more into like you know, they might be into metalcore, you know, they might be into like All That Remains or Shadows Fall or something like that, but it's still metal, you know, and their parents get it, right? They might prefer their Judas Priest, but they know what metal when they hear it. They're like, okay, well, it's metal, you know, so I'm down, you know?
That could be, but also, well,
Checkmate. Man, I just stunned you into silence.
I was actually muting the microphone because Star Trek's on in the other room, and you can hear the da 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 da. It's the most boisterous, obnoxious, like fucking theme song ever. Is The Next Generation? It's like, shut up.
Yeah, you're not a nerd at all. That,
Fuck no.
that's
I'm
what
a
you go to
total
bed.
badass, and I like science fiction. Fuck being a nerd.
Let me guess, you sleep to Star Trek.
Well, if I'm out in the other room watching it and I just happen to doze off, yeah, of course. And I keep restarting the same episode while I'm sleeping, but not when I go to bed. I sleep the dark ambient.
Uh,
It's very conducive to you falling asleep. I tell all the people I know who have trouble sleeping, they take all these drugs. I'm like, read a book, put your phone down, read a book, and read some or listen to some good dark ambient.
yeah, okay, Grandpa. Um,
Yeah, dad
you know
rock.
you know what I listen to is I listen to
Your
astronomy.
fucking rocking chair and the sound of your heart about to kick over and your Geritol rattling around with a few tablets you have left, you motherfucker.
Exactly. I listen to the Chip
Exactly.
Adventures. No, I listen to astronomy lectures.
Hey, that'll do it too. Like for me, it would be American history.
I don't like American history.
Fuck American history. There's nothing more
Like,
boring on earth than listening to some motherfucker drone on about that shit. When I went to the U, I had like they'd lecture every day, and my notes fit on one page of my notebook because I fell asleep every fucking day, and there was a pen mark that went off the page where I just lost the pen and fell asleep. Like so many dates and little tiny dates and skirmishes to remember. It's like, who fucking cares? Like, get to the important shit. The Battle of the Bump, the Battle of the Bulge, 1775, 1774. Boring.
yeah,
Now, Vlad the Impaler, European history. There you go. That's interesting.
yeah, Lady Bathory, Vlad the Impaler, all those psychos.
No, Vlad the Impaler was actually very interesting, not just because of the crazy shit that he did, but there was a lot of stuff that led to that. Like he was
Yeah.
imprisoned as a youth, solitary confinement. They took his brother. He had a brother named Radu, and they put burning hot irons in his eyeballs and then threw him in a coffin and threw that in the ground and buried him alive like that. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ, that's brutal. And you wonder where he got all that sadism from, is shit like that, you know?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
being tortured and stuff while he was in solitary confinement by the Turks and all that stuff. And
So clearly it was just a big misunderstanding.
what's that?
The whole Vlad the Impaler thing. He was
Oh
just
no, he was being forced to capitulate as a youth, and he held that rage for so long in his life that he finally, when he got out of there and went back to his native country, he took it out on not only those people, but also his own villagers, like the homeless people and
yeah.
all of that.
No, but what I like listening to I don't like history either. I like space stuff because when I'm sleeping and I'm listening to it, they'll start talking about like planets, and it'll actually be in my dream. All of a sudden, like I'm seeing planets and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Well, that's subliminal implantation, you know. Like what you need to do is clear your mind of all the stuff you've had in the day, like work and TV and whatever.
Hmm.
And then you look at something like before you fall asleep, but not consciously. Like you look at it in the back of your mind. Like say if you look at Venus, like topography, like that was orange, like that orange topography you've seen of Venus, where it's like the glowing orange rocks and stuff.
Hmm.
Like the what is it, like the thermal picture of it?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
glance at that, but you continue scrolling through the internet, you'll probably like put that into your dream because your brain filed it away for like a later.
Oh yeah.
That's why shit comes out in your dream. It's like a repository for all the stuff you file away in your head. Just like we talked about The Exorcist that time. I had nightmares. It was because I had a really brutal one because I saw the commercial of The Exorcist one night at a party, but I kind of didn't pay attention to it. And I had this crazy dream that night. It was Halloween night, and I was dressed as the devil. So it was kind of a weird situation. But I was like, well, I saw that commercial that night at the party, and everybody was talking to me, so I kind of filed that away. It came out in my dreams.
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
That happened to me with the Blair Witch Project because I was obsessed with that movie when it was about to come out.
I think
So
everybody was like
like,
expecting high things from it, but it kind of fell flat, I think.
I think it was great. I mean, I think it was really a unique.
It was interesting. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, I can get on board with that. You know, there's like a house in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of creepy, and you hear kids at night like giggling. You're like, what the fuck? And
Yeah, man.
but at the end, where the guy's standing in the corner, I'm like, what is he doing? Like, what's that? What's going on here? And the girl's just screaming bloody murder, and it ends. I'm like, all right, well,
Why he was standing in the corner?
what?
You don't know why he was standing in the corner?
Oh, it's been years since I've seen it. I saw it in the theater when it came out, but I can't remember. It was something to do with being a child or something, or what? Why was
Oh,
he? Was he dead?
so if the witch catches you, um, you know, she'll make you stand in the corner while she murders your friend, and then she comes and kills you.
I must have missed that part. I don't remember, but
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. The only disappointing thing is like I kind of wish, like I was so obsessed with it, I eventually found out that it was all staged and fake. But I wish I could see it
well, you
believing.
knew it was all that when you went to see the movie.
No, you didn't
You?
because it was found footage.
No, it was pretty much known that that was just a movie. I mean, I know they tried to play it off that way, but
I
it
didn't know
wasn't
why.
really like
I was like obsessed with it, so I think I eventually found out because. But most when they premiered it, most people didn't think it was fake. It wasn't
well,
until
yeah,
I.
that's what I was saying is they were playing it off like it was like, oh God, this really happened and this is a real legit thing. And they found it, but it went to like Sundance and Cannes Film. I'm like, no, come on. And like, I think you pretty much know. And it's like 8mm with Nicolas Cage. I saw that for the first time and I felt so dirty and like disgusted when I went home. I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. It was good but bad. It was like it made me feel dirty. I get rid of all your porn. And but the second time I watched it, it was like, okay, Nicolas Cage, what the fuck? And that guy was in Seinfeld. That's the guy from Sopranos. Hold on a minute. And that's the guy from Silence of the Lambs. I'm just like, all right, never mind. This wasn't that bad.
You're basically just whacking off to it. So
What?
nothing.
Who's whacking off the what?
I don't know. Hey, what's going on?
You watch your mouth. Well, anyway, so we have these kids at work. I have these young kids at work, guys and girls. They all like rap and hip hop, and the girls like all the girly singing stuff. Most of them kind of agree on rap and hip hop, though.
Uh-huh.
Why don't those kids like metal? What is it about rap and hip hop that just makes all these normal kids just gravitate to it still? And it's much less, to me, it's much less of actual rap than say Ice-T, Ice Cube, all that. Like this is just like it's not even really rap. It's just there's some that's rap. There's other stuff that's like a guy. It's not really rap. He's just singing through a filter in his phone. It's like here I am, here I am, here I am. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is this? It's like it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. It's like, trust me, I will take Cool Mo D, Two Live Crew, any of that shit any day over this shit that kids are listening to today. Like, what the fuck?
Because I think it's the responsibility of kids to irritate the hell out of the generation preceding it.
Well, that might be, but we're talking about the music, and they're really into this music, but not enough to go buy anything. And that, again, that brings up my point. For all that these kids are about music, as kids always have been since the 50s, they're not buying shit. They're not showing support. They don't even wear shirts anymore. It's like, and I told you the last time we talked, that kid that with the Brujeria shirt that came into my restaurant had no fucking clue what I was talking about when I asked him about the shirt. I'm like, do you know who Juan Brujo is? Did you see that band live? They were just here. And he's like, huh?
Don't
He
they
just
have?
looked like I asked him to have sex in the back room. I'm like, do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about your shirt. And he's like, oh, no, I don't know. I'm like, okay.
Does Brujeria have a female singer now?
I don't think so.
Oh, where did I hear
I doubt that. There's a guy, two guys, two bigger dudes. There's like a smaller dude named Pinche Peach. He's got a skeleton. He's got like really distinctive like Klingon eyebrows, and a big hawkish like Klingon kind of nose. He's really cool looking. He's really unique. He's really funny too. They're coming back in November. I want to go see them. That was a really good show.
Are you gonna go see Cannibal Corpse in October?
I probably ought to go see that because I'm over my
You're over your hate.
severance with them, and they're coming with Mayhem, and I've never seen Mayhem live either. I've never gone, and maybe it's time to show. Yeah, I think I should go see that actually. Mayhem would be good to see, and they're coming in October. It's the right time of year for black metal. So
Trying to think, there's a female member of Brujeria now.
oh, there may or may have been. I don't think there was, but let's see what BNR Metal Pages has to say, shall we?
Yeah,
Why do you say that? There might have been some girl in there, but I don't think there was actually.
there is now. They're looking. She's really cute. I mean, she's wearing the bandana, but pretty guys.
Not that I know of, but I don't see anything here, but I don't know, maybe.
Members. La Bruja, yeah, she's the singer.
Okay, now here's something.
Jessica
Here's-
Pimentel. No, so this is Jessica Pimentel, born September 29th. Is an American actress and musician. She is best known for her role as Maria Ruiz in the Netflix original series Orange is the New Black. She's a backing vocalist in the band Brujeria. Cool, but they have her picture. That's cool. Anyways, yeah, that was just sort of a
Well, speaking of Brujeria, listen to this. So when they first came out, they had a 7-inch record on some label. I can't remember what it was. And it had nothing of any kind whatsoever telling you who was in the band. It just said Juan Brujo, Phantasma, all these different names on bass, drums.
Yeah, it was like the Blair Witch of bands. People really thought they were like Mexican drug warlords.
Okay, well here you go. Like, here's my point: is it was Brad at Raunch just handed it to me because he knows I like heavy music. So he just said, "Yeah, you'll probably like this." I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "I don't know. It says they're all Mexican drug lords, but whatever." I'm like, "Okay." So I took it home, bought it out of whim, and it was really good. It was like this heavy, dirty grindcore. Because I didn't know who it was, and it looked like these ugly, dirty criminals. I was like, okay, I mean, that's kind of cool. I know that's not really who they are, but what if it was? But then they put out another 7-inch, and it was on Alternative Tentacles Records, and it started to get more jokey, like the song titles. But since I speak Spanish, I knew what they were. And they were talking about Faith No More, and then I figured out, I heard that Billy Gould, the bass player of Faith No More, was in Brujeria. And so were people from Napalm Death and Fear Factory. I'm like, okay, well, now it all makes sense. It's just them fucking around. But for a while there, I went to a specialty record store and I was handed a record by the guy there who thought I would like it. I bought it, I liked it, and I followed this band. And I was mystified by how strange they were and how secretive they were. And it turned out they were a good band. I still, 20, 30, 40 years later, or whatever it is now, 50 years, I've gone to see them live and it was good. I bought a shirt. I'd buy their new album, but they didn't have them at the show. That's what you do with music. Are people doing that? Because I feel like they're not. Like these younger kids, like these teenagers that like rap and shit. Do they go to a rap show and buy a CD and a shirt and then I pursue more music at the stores? Or do they just go, oh, is that on Spotify? I can get that for free. Why would I buy it? I think it's the latter. Or am I too negative?
I don't even think you're too negative, but I think
you know I'm right, at least to a degree.
probably,
There's no chasing music and digging through bins and like saying, what's this? Take a chance on it. Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to go find more. No one, do they do that?
I don't know, probably.
I went to Randy's Records the other day and there were a bunch of kids in there looking through records. So I was like, okay, well, that's cool, and there wasn't a lot, but I mean, there was some. Huh?
Well, there's your answer.
Okay, well, that's like a handful of people, though. I'm talking about like on a bigger scale, like to make music like a thing again.
I'm just saying. I think your focus is maybe misplaced, and I don't know exactly where it should be placed. But
how do you know it's misplaced?
because there's nothing you could do about it. You know what I mean? Like, you're tilting at windmills, you're kicking at the pricks, you're screaming at clouds,
I'm
you're
not screaming at clouds. It's like,
throwing tears into the ocean and just getting back the tide. That's a Sarah McLachlan lyrics.
who's Sarah McLachlan?
You don't know who she is?
Fuck no.
She had one hit. She's really good.
Actually, I've heard that name. I don't know who she is, but I know she's Canadian because she performed with Delirium, who are a side project of Frontline Assembly, and I love Frontline Assembly. And Delirium has got up to a point
Yeah.
before they started working with her, and now they're kind of like this weird new agey pop thing. But
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean,
they make some cool space music you'd like. You should check out Delirium's older stuff.
okay.
Anyways, Sarah McLachlan, what?
Oh, I was just saying I said one of her lyrics when I was running through metaphors.
Well, I think you're more of a Natalie Merchant fan, is what you strike me as.
No. Kate Bush. She's pretty good.
Kate Bush, is that one of Charlie's Angels?
No, she's the one that her
No, it's
song
Kate Jackson.
Running
Never
Up the Hill was popularized by Stranger Things. She got a resurgent from that movie or that series. Kate
Yeah,
Bush.
I think Stranger Things is overrated.
Jesus Christ, dude.
What? Am I supposed to like it because everyone else does? It's over fucking rated. I said it. Stranger Things over fucking rated.
You know what's overrated? Star Trek:
gonna
The
kill
Next
me?
Generation.
Fuck no. Everybody loves Star Trek. Everybody with a brain, that is.
Everybody loves Stranger Things.
All they do is rip off fucking H.P. Lovecraft. Like everybody else is, except they're not saying it because H.P. Lovecraft's a racist, quote unquote. So
It's
we
cosmic.
can still steal his shit. Fuck off, Stranger Things. Netflix can suck my dick. That's right. What else you got that I can tear down for you? Wyoming? You live in Wyoming now, you big pussy? Fuck Cowboys. Fuck them.
Well, there goes my
Fuck
Netflix.
you, Mark.
Are you trying to be mayhem?
No. No, I was that long before
Am I your Sam Dunn to your?
You know what's funny is I'm editing that show right now where you were kind of criticizing Sam Dunn and then you stopped and said, "Oh, he's cool. I like him. I don't want to be
I
negative."
started feeling bad. I'm like, you know what? He's done more than me.
Well, you were saying he went like really woke on you, and I'm thinking, okay, well,
Not on me, but
woke up to a point is okay, but like, you know, I was kind of woke back when I did my radio show in the 90s. Like I stopped playing Burzum when he started saying racist shit, and then I figured out he didn't know what he was talking about because he was saying all this other mixed shit. So I just like, whatever, I just played it.
Mm.
And I was always against Nazis, though. I mean, I still am. But it's like that's another thing these days too. It's like it's with kids these days. It's like anything you do or say, they're up your ass about any little thing. But like, well, okay, where's this aggression when it comes to supporting music or like all of that? Like, are you about that or no?
Like I said, it's placed. Yeah.
I should turn that around on them and go, oh, you're a fucking music racist. You're bigoted. Your toxic hatred of music is pissing me off. You should go buy that CD, fucker. Go to the store right now. I'm going to give you the night off. Here's $20. Come back when you got a CD. Then we'll talk. Until then, don't come to work.
Right.
Huh?
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Says who?
I don't know.
That's not a wrong. That's a right. That's a right fixing a wrong right there.
You can't force it. It has to be their idea. Is
that why? That's actually a good point. Is that what this is all about? Because it's not their thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're somehow able to, get them on the right track, and if they start buying music thinking that they're doing it on their own free will, that's how it's gonna stick. But if you just say, give them $20, go buy a fucking record.
Oh, okay. I was just being funny right there, Mark. Come on.
Coercion doesn't work.
Well, I was making a joke there, but at the same time, it's like I don't think that they're going to go buy anything. If you have it on your phone for free, anything you want, anytime, anywhere, why would you go buy it? Which brings us back to Spotify and how they should fuck off and die.
But here's the thing. I mean, that's the right question to ask right now. It's the only question to ask. Why aren't they buying? you know, and then you can, you know,
No,
yes,
it's for free on the internet.
right. So now the question is, what can you do to get them to buy something? And that's where some bands are actually finding success. It's driving people to pick up, you know, like a physical copy somehow or a T-shirt. Get them invested in the music
See, and this is
to
the other thing too,
a
is doing the label like I've been doing is like I'm getting some of these bigger caliber death metal bands, which wasn't really what I was aiming for, to be honest with you. And they're good, and I can't say no because they're so
you wanted
good.
like yeah, you wanted like garbage black metal noisy bands.
I
And now,
exactly what I wanted was
get
like
good
more
bands.
underground stuff, like not garbage, but to fucking poser like you maybe. But if it's like good underground black metal or death metal, not like this highly produced bands that want to go on tour and opening for Cannibal, it's like.
Uh,
But here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. Is like if you go to Bandcamp, there's a black metal page on YouTube I follow. If you go on their YouTube page and watch these bands, you can go to the band's Bandcamp. They're selling out of tapes and CDs and even records. And you know there might or might not be a label pressing it, but they're selling out of like they're not pressing very much. There's like 50 tapes or like 100 records or something like that. But they're selling that shit and people are buying it. And again, that's metal people, underground metal people seeking out something unique.
mhm.
So again, we're talking about metal versus like the other kind of metal, or even just pop and rap and hip hop and whatever the fuck.
Mhm.
So it's going to be your mainstay of metal bands. But I think even with metal, it's like most people aren't going to go buy the new Morbid Angel probably. They're just going to listen to it online and go, oh, whatever. But if you have this new black metal band from fucking Lithuania and they're like, oh, that sounds cool. What's that? You know, I want to get that tape. That I want to be in on this like early on. They could be the next Dark Throne. That's what you do. I've been doing it. I've been buying tapes and shit for bands that I had the digital tracks of, and I haven't listened to the tapes yet. So I don't have a tape player. But
Mm.
what do you think about that? I mean, validity there?
No, I mean you're on the right track, but I think you're I don't know, there's something you're missing. I think it's just a matter of finding that out. And maybe it's like some having some patience or being more kind of open to like different avenues and different possibilities, you know, because clearly, you know, the traditional record label, you know, even your Nuclear Blast and Metal Blade, they're not operating the same way as they did in the 80s, you know, so I'll sleep on it. Because it's something I think about. I'm like, huh. I mean, because you already have like a little bit of a foundation. So to me, it's just like, okay, well, how do we, you know,
Oh, I have a big foundation. I have a lot of releases, and they're all fucking excellent. And I'm not just saying that because they're my bands. They're fucking good. They're all good.
exactly.
I haven't put out any of that noisy, distorted black metal because they don't come to me because I've kind of already been established as like this, like kind of produced death metal or produced black metal label, which isn't bad. I love that too. But I'm really into this raw stuff because that's kind of where my heart has always been. And also, it's just like these more produced bands want more attention, more money, more product, and that's not really what it's about to me. You know, it's I love discovering the next, mortuary drape or something like that. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's not them. It's me. Costanza.
It kind of, you know, trust me, as someone who's pretty much been a failure his entire life, you know, eventually you do have to like kind of go when things are going wrong, you're like, all right, what am I doing here, you know?
I do that every day.
Mm.
I just wonder if
Then,
I
but
should
then,
just
you know,
stop doing it.
you also have to not, you know, take on unearned guilt as well, which I tend to do, you know, which is like blame yourself for everything. But
Oh, I'm not doing that, but I mean, there is. At the end of the day, it's like some of the bands leave because they're just pissed about money and stuff. It's like I'm one guy. What do you expect me to do? You know, it's I gotta eat. I gotta have a house.
mm,
That's more important than you getting a vinyl. You know, so.
mhm, mhm,
But
mhm.
I do what I can, and I love putting this stuff out. But it's also just doesn't seem like it's practical anymore. It's like to me, it seems like any band who wants it that bad can just do it on their own. They don't need a label.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I think you're going to have to do. you're gonna have to decide whether or not you want to run a label anymore. But if you make that decision to continue to run the label, you're gonna want to start thinking about ways to drive people to the label. You know, and
Well, I've
even
already
that,
thought about that, but what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, got to start like it's not going to come like just like a snap thing. You have to actually kind of plan it out. You know, um, I don't know. It's my brain is just a little bit starting to run down a little bit. Being that's
Oh man, that's what
1:15.
happens when you listen to too much dad rock when you're a dad.
I know. Dads have to go to bed before 2 a.m.
Oh man.
Yeah, let's rap. Not the mumble rap that you're listening to at the restaurant.
So really quick though, I want to say I'm reading David Vincent's book. I'm in the middle
Yeah.
of it right now, about the point where he's married and probably divorcing Jen. And
Oh,
like he took a job as a cab driver because he realized he was being a negative douchebag and all that stuff. Like, what do you think about that book? What are your thoughts?
it's a great book. I'm actually reading it again too. Um, I'm not that far into it, but
Well, you've read it already completely, right?
oh yeah, I went through it once when I first got
Yeah.
it.
Well, I'm only reading it for the first time here, but I'm like, okay, this is some of it. I'm not kind of surprised. It seems kind of primitive the way it's written. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he'll be like, and I didn't like that, so we didn't do that anymore, and things like I'm like, okay,
No, it's not primitive,
obviously.
but he is using very like kind of clean
But
writing.
there are other times where he just talks, so like it's David Vincent, like he's very intelligent and well spoken. I'm like, well, who is there? Someone else writing this with him, or was he
Uh,
tired when he wrote this part, or like I don't get it because it sounds like a 2-year-old wrote some of this, but then some of the other stuff, it's like David Vincent as I know him. But I was
he,
surprised to learn they had such a recording budget back in '89 from Earache Records, like early on. Like that was
5,000.
crazy. You
Was
remember
it?
that?
Well, yeah. They had 5,000 to do
Yeah,
alters.
$5 grand to do Altars of Madness. Well, here's the thing too: is did you know this? Like in Europe or in the UK, anyways, they have a program, and this is how Dig Pearson started Earache. Was like there's like a program where you get a loan to start your own business,
Huh.
and if you succeed, you don't have to pay it back, or it was something like that. And he did that with Earache Records, and look at what he did. That's awesome. I'm like, I wish I could do that. They don't have stuff like that here that I know of, or if they do, they don't tell you, so you don't find out about it. I've heard that
Small
too. But
business grants and stuff like that. I think,
yeah, but that's impossible. Like here, I mean, you got to go to a bank, and
yeah. We'll
but he
figure.
did that. That's how he started Earache. I'm like, well, no wonder he had money to pay some of these bands, put out that mass amount of product to get it out worldwide. It's like he went for it with like the a business loan program through the UK through the workforce
Yeah,
minister or whatever the fuck. But yeah, interesting.
yeah. We'll figure something out, man. We're gonna solve that conundrum. I think
Are you? Are we?
we're gonna make your label legit.
I think the CD is also going to make a comeback.
Sure. Yeah. 8-track is gonna make a comeback.
You always say that when I say that, and I know you're trying to be a wise ass, but
I always say that. It feels like the first time.
no, you've said it many times before. But I do believe the CD is going to make a comeback because once again, it's a tangible article.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier to deal with than sitting down listening to a record and you can take it with you. Or I guess it doesn't matter now because they don't have CD players in cars anymore.
I don't know. And maybe I mean,
But you can't listen to a tape in a car anymore either. So you're still moored to listening to it at your house, sitting there on the couch.
who knows? Maybe NFTs. As soon as I find out what those are, but there might be a brand new medium that comes out that kind of combines both the digital and the physical. In a new way. That's something to think about. Maybe it doesn't have to be vinyl, cassette, CD, 8-track, whatever. Maybe there's a new way to do to bring a tangible product that has the music attached to it. I don't know yet, but think about it. Sleep on it with your dark ambient music.
Sleep on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, is the Sandman tugging at your little eyelids,
Yes, he is.
trying to let you know that the skinwalkers are out and about around your house out there in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming?
You know, it'd be funny, a thing or a good idea. Be Skinwalker Texas Ranger. So it's just a skinwalker
Skinwalker,
and he
Texas
rides
Ranger.
around.
Huh?
Yeah. Wonder if
That
it.
would be a good idea. You could make a band called that. You tour with that other band, Black Mariah, for the Texas death metal, black metal band.
Yeah. Yeah. Skinwalker Texas Ranger and yeah, Black Mariah coming to a club near you.
Well, Mark,
All right, man.
it has
Um,
been such a sweet pleasure as always.
yeah. Once again, thanks for saving my ass.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So you're
Yeah.
able to get by, eat a little dinner every now and then?
Yeah, it got me through that week. You know, I'm still not out of the woods until the end of this month because it's like this place only pays me once a month. But last paycheck, because of the pay period I started in, I got paid for 5 days, so it's still a
They
little
got to
rough.
give you some kind of a stipend though. They can't expect you to live on that. That's insane.
Yeah,
You moved out there to work for them, and they just like, or fuck you. Okay.
well, I mean, but eventually, though, like I said, I mean, all I got to do is muscle through a few weeks, and then things will be starting to actually really start looking up. So, but yeah, I
Yeah, I
appreciate.
have an upcoming issue. I don't know what's going to happen. Like my HOA company for my condo,
Mhm.
they just realized that the awnings over the top two floors of the building I'm in need to be
Mhm.
replaced, and they're like, okay, everybody has to get out for a week. I'm like, fuck you, get out for a week. And what? Like, you're going to pay for us to go to a hotel? Like, no, we're not. Like, well, then fuck off. Like, well, no, you have to go. It's a liability. I'm like, tough shit. It's my house.
Yeah,
So they're forcing
that,
us out of our house for at least 7 days while they fix this awning. I'm like, fuck you. You're just going to put us on the streets and not pay for it? You can't do that.
oh, they can't do that. No way.
Why am I paying an HOA for that? That's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I might have to sue their asses. So stay tuned for that story.
All right. Well, yeah.
But if you don't hear
Never
from
a
me, we
dull,
can't record for another week or so. That's probably why, because I'll be living at my mom's house for a fucking week. That's going to be fun.
never a dull moment. I'd say you could come up here, but then it's a long commute to work.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
those nocturnal drives in the area of Wyoming and Montana, man, it's nothing but trouble. UFOs, Bigfoot, werewolves,
Yeah. Skinwalkers.
yeah, all that shit. The Blair Witch, the real one.
Oh yeah. That's why I don't go camping alone, man. I'm not afraid of like bears and mountain lions. I'm actually afraid of like ghosts.
You know, when I worked on the oil rigs, it was out in Vernal, Utah, at 9 Mile Canyon. It was like totally like just sucking darkness. There was like no city lights, no nothing.
Yeah, that'd be
Your
scary.
phone wouldn't work, and those redneck guys out there were scared to death of skinwalkers. They were scared shitless. They did not go out at night.
Probably because they saw them.
I don't know, but there were American Native like people that lived out there. There were glyphs on the walls and stuff, and like some of the people who were the oil rig roughnecks out there shot up some of the glyphs with a pellet gun.
Oh, bad, bad.
One time, not the guys I was with, but it was like so just some other people had done that before, and like supposedly something happened to them. And like these guys were telling all these stories about skinwalkers, and I was like, oh man. But when you're out there, it really does like get into your mind because it's so quiet and dark out there, and you're just like, what the fuck's out there, you know? And
Unnerving, yeah.
you hear weird noises and you just panic, you know. And I was on this oil rig, and there was like you could not see anything because you were in the mountains.
Huh.
Like driving there was depressing. You had this little blob of light from your car headlights right in front of you, but you're on a dirt road. Like you went off the freeway ended after a while.
Yeah. It's
Just driving
lonely.
out in like this dirt and bushes, and you're like, anything could jump in front of my car right now. Like, what the fuck? I don't know how I found that shit. It was before GPS. There
Oh
are like
yeah.
little signs every here and there. Like you follow the path and hope you see a sign. I'm like, what am I doing? It's like fucking 12 midnight. I'm driving out to this thing, and like, hopefully, I'm not gonna get lost in the middle of nowhere. But crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
Indeed.
pal.
All right, buddy.
Get your beauty rest. You need it.
Yeah, we'll talk next week sometime, I guess. Unless you're
Uncomfortably placed.
yeah.
We'll
All right,
see.
buddy. Okay.
All right, dude.
Later.
Am I gonna stop recording now?
Yeah, that'll work.
Oh my God, a skinwalker!